My name is Gabrielle Simpson, and I'm from Kansas. I was a Pathfinder and an adventurer when I was a kid, and I really enjoyed it. As I got older, I didn't appreciate it as much. I'm umming a lot, I'm sorry. But I have really gained an appreciation for it lately. I really believe in youth ministry, and I'm excited to be here to help teach the AYMT Instructor certification. I believe being a good instructor is really beneficial for the kids, and it reminds us of some good advice that we may have forgotten about how to teach kids. So, AYMT, in case you're in the wrong class, just so you know, this is the AYMT Instructor certification for edu -- I was told that's because they don't have a number for it yet. For teaching the Pathfinder AY curriculum. I hope everybody has a handout. Today we'll be talking about what is AY, how was it developed, what is its purpose, and how should it be taught. So, I would like to start off with a little trivia, because this material has a newer version, so this is now a part of history. Therefore, I'd like to see how much history about our curriculum, the AY curriculum, that you remember. So, who can tell me, how old were Luther Warren and Harry Fenner when they started the first Adventist Youth, or AY, program?
I think 17.
Yes, 17. One was 17. How old was the other?
16.
Oh. A little younger.
14.
14.
Oh,
That's
14.
correct. Very good. And then, what year was that? Give me a decade.
That was,
You're looking it up. That's
I don't know, I thought I have it. No, I
1900?
don't have it.
1900 is not it. A little.
1890?
1888?
Almost. 1879. That should really give you an appreciation for how old, how long we've been doing this. In 1907, the AY program received its first official name. What was that name?
Isn't it Missionary Volunteers?
Yes, it was. Missionary Volunteers, or MV, Seventh-day Adventist Young People's Society of Missionary Volunteers, or MV. Very good. Okay, before there were AY classes, what curriculum was used? Before we had friend, companion, and all that, what was it called? Y'all probably didn't know there was one
You
before.
just did it. I don't know. I don't remember.
It's called the Standard of Attainment.
Oh, wow.
By the way, well, it may have been moved to the Pathfinder Museum, but as far as I know, it's at Andrews University. And I can't tell you how much I'd love to see it. So if anyone wants to go check it out for me and iPhone take some pictures, I would love to know the content of the Standard of Attainment. Oh, whoops. There we go. What was the morning watch? Keep the morning watch. What does that mean? Daily morning devotional study. Okay, so this particular person, who wrote the Pathfinder, or JMV, Pledge and Law in 1921? This woman did a lot of good things for the Pathfinders. Okay. Her name was Harriet Holt, and she did it for A.W. Spalding Club in Tennessee. Before it was called Guide and Master Guide, what were their original names?
Comrade.
Very good.
And Master
Conrad
Conrad.
and Master Conrad.
Why would you want to change
This
that?
was a good idea.
So,
Yeah, World War II changed it.
when were those curriculums developed?
19...
Give me a decade. I didn't hear. 20s, yes. Yes. In 1922. And by who? Harriet Holt. Again. She really was a blessing to the development of Pathfinders. What was the original name of Pathfinder Honors, another great part of AY curriculum? Think about it, it is related to Boy Scouts. Merits.
Merits.
Okay,
Mhm.
merit on.
Yes. So, and who introduced the first vocational merits?
Spalding.
Harriet.
Almost. Harriet Holt did a lot of the work, but she couldn't finish it. She had to move away. So, C. Lester Bond finished the work Harriet Holt started and introduced the first merit in 1928. How many merits were introduced in that first year?
16.
That's right, 16, that's right. And if you will go to page 2 of your handouts, you will see a list. Can you give me some guesses as to what you think those are? Those are the
What if-
first 16 on there.
What if we don't like
Trees,
those? We can know it?
birds.
Sure, no, tell me.
Well, the one is cooking, then
Constellation.
trees,
Uh-huh.
and I believe the uppermost right that I have, and I don't see it up there, is home health nursing?
Almost.
Almost.
I think it's health and healing.
Health
Yeah,
and
health and
healing,
healing.
Yes.
okay.
And it was flowers, study, trees, study. They changed the names later.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Any other guesses as to what some of those are?
I guess sewing.
How come it's different? Yeah.
Yeah,
Basic
it's
sewing.
different.
Uh-huh.
in the
No, this
handout that we
picture
have.
is different from the one you have in your handout.
Is
Okay.
Bible study.
So we need to refer to the one in the handout.
Yes.
Okay. Birds. Flowers.
Poultry.
Christian
Ra-
storytelling.
Yeah, poultry raising.
Basic sewing.
Christian storytelling.
Christian storytelling.
Laundering.
Very good, very good. Automobile mechanic, bird study, Christian storytelling,
Yes,
coal
automobile.
porterage, cooking, there needs to be a comment there, flower study, gardening, health and healing, laundering, needlecraft, photography, poultry raising, radio, I have that one, by the way,
Mhm.
shoe repair, star study, and tree study. Very good. In 1948, Henry Burke wrote the official Pathfinder song. What important word was initially removed from the song for the sake of cadence that was later put back in the song officially in 1998? What word was missing?
When was it taken out?
Huh? It was taken out initially, when it first, he wrote it, and then
Oh,
when it was
gotcha,
first.
initially. Oh, okay.
Is
I
it
don't
truth
know.
or kindness?
It was
Kindness, truth.
kindness. Kindness was missing, and then it was put back in because what are we if we are pure and we know the truth, but we don't have kindness? Legalists. Kindness makes all the difference. God's love makes all the difference. In 1956, they added the Explorer class. In 1966, they added the Ranger class. And in 1982, they added the Voyager class. What was the original name of the Ranger class?
Pioneer?
Uh-huh. It's on the board, so yes. And that was the original Pioneer pen and Pioneer bar, which I would also love to see. Okay, and these are our last two. Today we are studying the AY curriculum. When was that curriculum developed? And by the way, PLA and PIA were also developed at the same time.
1973?
Even decade, you can kind of tell me.
1970s?
1990s. 80s.
80s, yes. It was 1987 to 1989 that this curriculum that we use today was reorganized. And with the retirement of PLA and PIA, what new curriculum has been developed as a source of continued education for Pathfinder leaders?
AYMT.
That's correct, AYMT, which is official.
2000.
That's right. Very good. Okay, give yourself a hand. Yay! November 25th, very good. Okay, so the purpose of that, of course, is to really appreciate where we've come from. And our Pathfinder history is rich. Good to know. So, purpose and objectives of AOI. What is it you want your Pathfinders to learn from their curriculum? The next slide, I believe, tells several. So before I flip over to that side, tell me, what is it that you want your Pathfinders to learn and when they walk away? There's lots of good.
Yes, to be more holistic.
Holistic, yes?
I was thinking about that as far as how what they're doing relates to a relationship with God or knowing God, just bringing these worlds together.
Yes, I agree. That's very good. Okay, there's lots of good reasons. The purpose of AOI, I want them to have a feeling of church belonging, their relationship to the church. Active participation, developing and using unique gifts. Because when we lead, we each have unique gifts. And kids don't always realize stuff until you tell them. It's like, oh, yes, I have gifts, and then they start to develop and say, how can I use this? Partnership with the church. Selfless ministry, making that important to serve our community and the world. Meaningfulness and fruitfulness of God's Word. When I first fell in love with the Bible, I had no clue that when you open the Bible, that you can go back later and reread something, and a different gem, a different treasure pops out that I hadn't seen before. And the next time, something else pops out. And that's the Holy Spirit at work, and I love for kids to realize that. And a growing redemptive relationship with Christ. Okay, there are 3 concepts that are interwoven into all of our curriculum, and that is achievement, responsibility, and respect for authority. Everything in this presentation was taken from the AY Instructor's Manual. Is a good resource for this. And I love how they set it up as they wanted you to think about as an instructor what you're teaching your kids, what you want them to know, how you want them to feel about it, and how you want them to respond to what they've learned. So, an achievement, you want them to experience successful completion of worthwhile tasks, not just to succeed, but to do something important, meaningful, with a sense of purpose. You want them to know the fruit of faithful effort, to feel the satisfaction of achievement, and to respond by setting high personal goals and faithfully performing tasks. So, sitting in front of the TV, playing video games, doesn't help with our goals, right? So, we want to set those high goals, and that becomes important so they have a desire to want to achieve purpose of responsibility. How do y'all feel about kids learning responsibility? And they can learn this within all of their curriculum, right? How to achieve, being responsible, to accept and faithfully carry forward responsibility. And the key here is according to age and experience, not overburdening them. Let's see, I want them to know that responsibility is important to life, that being responsible pleases God. I think we spend so much time telling kids what God is displeased about, and that it's important to tell them what does please God. That being responsible pleases God, and it creates joy in our life. I want them to feel willing to be responsible, and to respond by faithfully and cheerfully performing duties. Cheerfully is the key word there, right? Let me go back there. Yeah. As an instructor, do y'all run into problems with children being cheerful, pathfinders being cheerful with their duties?
There are certain occasions, but
Not often?
Depends what age.
Depends what age, that's true, yes. Well, how have you headed that off sometimes when there's attitude, when there's attitude? How do you feel that it would be a good way to combat's the wrong word, it's the only thing that comes to my head, it's not a fight. But to approach not being cheerful with their duties.
well, one thing is, as instructors and as staff of the Pathfinder, you have to live what you're teaching. And so, if you are excited with doing, not tying, they'll be excited too.
I
They
agree.
kind of reflect on how the instructor or the staff, their
I agree.
attitude towards what they're doing. If you're kind of bored, if you're one of those staff that doesn't want to be there, like some of the TOTs are, then the younger ones look at that and say, so they don't even want to be here, so why would I be wanting to do this?
That's right.
So,
Very true, very true. I like that. So the instructor can model the cheerfully performing duties and bring that excitement into the activity. Purpose of respect for authority. We want them to understand and respect be a principle, to both do, but also to understand why. To know the biblical principles of respect for authority and how it enhances a happy life. Again, it's not just performing duty and I'm sullen about it, but to be cheerful in that it is a good thing. To feel comfortable and secure in obedience and respect of authority. Because what are kids taught today about authority? To trust it or distrust it?
Distrust.
That's right. So, as Pathfinders, we have that added responsibility of teaching kids that they're safe, obeying us. We're out for their good. And, okay, so creating that safety and obedience and respect for authority, and to respond by showing respect and obeying God, parents, teachers, government, all of it.
I always tell my kids that, the kids I'm teaching, that there's a time for everything.
That's right.
So there's a time, this is our time to actually work on our journals.
Mhm.
You know, we don't goof off, you know, if you need to read something, you do that part because we don't want to waste people's time. I mean, we are all, the staff is, everybody's a volunteer. I'm not getting paid for this 3 hours I spend with you, but I love spending time with you because I want you to learn. And so that respect for the counselor or the instructor that's standing in front of you, and you're focused to what they're doing because you want to learn it,
Yes.
not just because we tell you to learn it.
When I like what
Yeah.
you said there about, as an instructor, you're showing value to that time too. And it's not, as I've seen some instructors not, you know? That's true too, because the kids will respond to your saying, I value my time with you, you know? And also, there's a time for everything. And I tell my kids this too, because it's not fair to just say, now is the time to sit still. They know this memory verse, and if my son were listening, I'd go ahead and have him do it. There is a time to laugh.
Yes.
So, again, creating that safety and securedness. The safety is, I'm not going to dismiss your need to goof off,
Yeah.
but now's not the time. But there will be time later,
Yes.
you know? So, that's very good. Thank you.
Also, you're talking about purpose of achievement and responsibility. If we're just giving them their honors without them finishing it, or we're just like checking them off, even though they didn't finish their the IA journals,
Mhm.
then that's teaching them you can pass each level without really accomplishing it. Or we're just like, oh, the honor requires this. We don't need to do all that. You know, we just need to do this. That's teaching them that
It
pathfinding
diminishes
is just like what people are saying. It's just babysitting, and
Mhm.
you are here to, and we entertain you for this 2 hours that you're with us, and you don't have to accomplish anything. You're just here.
Yes.
So we're just handing them out all these honors or all these achievements without them actually earning it, and it's a fast food, everything's fast paced, and so they don't spend time wanting to do these little things. Oh, it takes too long. It takes too long to do this.
Yes, it diminishes the value of the activity, it diminishes the value of pathfinding, and it diminishes the value of that life skill of completing, of doing your
and
best.
achieving a high level of
Achieving.
Pathfinder.
Yes, that will help them throughout their life.
Yes.
So we don't want to diminish that value as instructors. Thank you. Okay, as you know, as I'm sure you all know, the Pathfinder classes are Friends, Companion, Explorer, Ranger, Voyager, Guide, Master Guide, PLA, and PIA. And of course, they have advanced tracks. Track objectives. I'm going to go through this as an overview, and then we're going to dive into each one. So personal growth, we're looking at the participant themselves. Spiritual growth, spiritual development and spiritual heritage, serving others, the caring church, making friends, understanding yourself and how you relate to others. Health and fitness, being healthy, youth organization, being a pathfinder, what it means, nature study, learning in nature, outdoor living, living safely in the outdoors, and honor enrichment, how to have fun with AY honors. So, as I said earlier, see here. This is the particular curriculum that we're looking at today. And for your use as instructors, wanted to show you this too. A way to map out how your class is doing. So they can see it and you can see it. It's kind of both, we'll both be able to see it. Back to that achievement, to want to achieve, it's like, I've only got a couple of these things left. If I do it, I'm done. Okay, page 3 of your handout has a notes page, so feel free to write whatever the Holy Spirit inspires you, what pops out at you as something that you are wanting for later. And in each one, I want to hear your thoughts on how to approach certain curriculum. Okay, so personal growth. The major concept is the personal relationship with Jesus is basic to Christianity and essential to salvation. What does modern Christianity tell you about personal growth? Is it necessary, or do they say, you don't need
No,
that?
you come as you are and you stay as you are.
You stay as you are, that's right. So we want to teach them what God says in the Bible about that is basic to Christianity and your relationship with Christ. To know Jesus as their personal Savior and to know Christian living concepts, because those do enhance life. To feel the joy of faith and to be comfortable in sharing that faith with others. Want them to respond by accepting Jesus Christ as their personal Savior, developing personal devotional habits. That has to be the hardest one right there. And to become involved in church mission work. So within the AY class, under personal growth, there's involvement, commitment, and growth, and all sections are required in order to finish the class. So, the reason why I put them all out there is so you can see how they build on each other through the years. Whichever class you're looking at, how it's built on the past and how it creates a foundation for future classes. So, you have, of course, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds for each class. Becoming a board member, memorizing the pledge and law, accept word and guide, memorize AYMT motto, reading the happy path, and then illustrate the pledge, illustrate the law, illustrate the aim, illustrate the motto. To illustrate, you can draw, color, paint, role play, skit, and then the reading certificates for each of the levels. And here is an example of a reading certificate. From the Old Testament, choose one Bible character. Read about their life in the Bible, read the commentary, read 3 articles about etiquette and social graces, read 2 articles about nutrition, alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, read 1 book about one of those subjects, and read weeks 1 through 13 of the weekly Bible reading guide. So we'll stop here. If you are the instructor, how would you approach this? Give me some popcorn answers, like discuss or role play or painting. Or how would y'all approach memorizing the pledge and law?
Do it as a group.
Do it as a group, that's right, opening ceremonies. And I know that friends sometimes by the end of the year, they still haven't quite got it yet. Anybody have any creative thoughts on helping them to memorize their pledge and law? Sometimes making a book where they get to go through it. How about illustrating? Everybody likes to be creative in different ways. So if you were to help your kids to think of how to illustrate pledge, law, and motto, what would you encourage them to do?
One time I had my Pathfinder draw each single one of the pledge and law. It's just one thing, kind, true, all those things. And so she had fun doing it.
Sure. Yes. Any other thoughts? Drawing.
Have them come up with a skit.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I like that.
Story.
I like that. Yeah, skit. Very good. And then the reading. What if they're looking at, oops. What if they're looking at all those articles and saying, how am I going to do that? What would you tell them?
Well, we schedule a time to do that on our.
You do it as a group session?
Yeah, we do it as a group. I give them the articles they need.
You
they
bring the
read. Yeah,
articles.
so I bring the articles and each one, and then they give a report in front of everybody and say what the article was talking about, what really struck them, and they can,
Sure.
kind of share. It's not.
How about a field trip to the library? I know my kids love any reason to get out of the classroom, so hey, let's go to the library. At least it's getting up and going somewhere.
Yeah, it's a good way to take them to the library and teach them how it works, because a lot of kids say, okay, so I gotta find an article on etiquette and have no idea how to start.
That's right, very good. Okay, any other thoughts before they go to the spiritual? All right, here we go, spiritual discovery. So in here, let's see, spiritual discovery, major concept is they want to understand the structure of the Bible, its relevance to today, and life application. For them to know how to use the Bible, how to study the Bible, how to discover God's will for their lives, and that how to use the Bible. I mean, if anyone here is used to dealing with non-SDA kids, you know that there's a lot of kids who don't know how to use their Bibles. They may know that Genesis is at the beginning, but they don't know that Revelation's at the end or any much in between, unfortunately. So this is really an important thing, because if we want them to grow in Christ, they need to get to know their Bibles very well. So not just use, but how to study. Because there's many different study techniques, and for each kid, one technique may work better than another. And to feel comfortable and competent in Bible use too, because here they're going to be surrounded by Adventist kids who know how to use their Bibles, and so to especially help those kids who want to learn, so they feel comfortable with it, competent. Yes, ma'am.
You just made a excellent point, because it's almost inconceivable. I went to Adventist school all my life, like literally first grade, and I've been in Adventist settings the majority of my life, and I'm raising my kids the same way. So I forget, I take it for granted that everybody knows this stuff. And it's not until you get exposed to other kids and they, and they're like, the Bible, like, what's that? And you're like, what? And you forget, that we're exposing them to things that a lot of other kids just don't know or have access to or whatever, and how much of an advantage it is. And so I think that's another thing that would be good for them to, for us to reinforce as the Pathfinders, or whether it's an instructor, director, whatever. Like, this is gonna help you live a better life. I mean, I think we gotta make that more real to them.
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
Sorry.
That's all right. And to trust it, to not only become familiar with their Bibles, to know how to study it, techniques, but also to trust what they're reading. And that becomes evident when they take that step out in courage. I remember the first few times I did this, to use what they've learned. And when God blesses, it's like, wow, that worked. God answered my prayer, wow. And to respond by believing it, using their Bibles, sharing what they've learned. Spiritual growth curriculum. There's memory work, and where they'll memorize one verse from about prayer, about doctrine, about behavior, about salvation, about relationships, and about one of the great passages, the Ten Commandments, such as the Lord's Prayer, such as
Beatitudes.
thank you, yes. Learn about church heritage, which is in the form normally of family worship, and then Christian heritage, which is usually in the form of skits and role playing. Standards. Section 1 is required, and then they have to pick from section 2 or 3 for standard level, and then if they want advanced, they need to do all 3 sections. So as you see, I'm going to show you how it builds. They all have memory work, and then memorize Old Testament books, memorize New Testament books, report about 3 Bible prophets, study baptismal vows, list 6 events in Jesus' life, list the 5 types of Moses' laws, read the Ellen White prologue and the main events of SDA history as far as the family worship time, at least that's how they tend to word it. Read Ellen White's first vision and discuss it. Read Ellen White's the Bull Run vision and compare that to the actual historical account. Did Ellen White get it right? It's good for kids to look at that. Pathfinder leadership flowchart, so they understand how that's organized. Discuss J.N. Andrews, and here we are, and his mission work, and 3 Advent pioneer stories. And then skit, Old Testament skit, Jesus skit, New Testament skit, Reformation skit, and a report about a particular evangelist, and final event skit. I'd love to see that final event skit. That'd be pretty fun. And then Friend has one added part there about researching their family's spiritual roots. Was Grandma Baptist? Was Grandpa Methodist? It's kind of neat to learn. So, as Pathfinder instructors, how would you approach certain parts of this curriculum? What tools would you use?
Like memorizing the books of the Bible in the song, using the
Yes.
song.
I like
You remember it better.
That's right. That's right. Songs work for memory. The other thing that works for memory is rhythm and cadence, which is part of why songs work so well. You know, my inflection of my voice being exactly the same. So songs and then rhythm and cadence. Some of these are laid out for you. How would you approach this? Skit. Yes, skit. Having them sit down, put their skit together, helping them to figure out what direction they're going in with that. Okay, and then the family worship. Or do y'all do this as group session in your Pathfinder class?
Do it as a group session.
Group session in Pathfinder class? Okay, the next section is serving others. We want them to learn, to understand being helpful and witnessing for Christ. To know that all are called to serve. We each have a call. It makes it personal for the Pathfinder. To understand their own spiritual gifts and how to use them. To feel love and compassion for others. Part of what our modern day lifestyle does is it numbs the brain to things that really do hurt. You become so numb. And we want them to, I don't know how to word this any other way, but to reactivate that, to not be numb anymore, and to feel that compassion for someone who's hurting or in need. So love for others and a desire to help them. We want them to respond by using their spiritual gifts, developing those skills, and extending to friends the call to serve. So they're sharing and say, hey, let's go do this, let's go help. In the curriculum, they have to do a one-to-one visit, and then they have to do, as a group, in an outreach program, witnessing, and then community service. So they have to choose 2 sections for a standard class, or do all 3 sections if they want advanced. So, one-to-one, they're visiting absent member, visiting, make sure everybody's paying attention, visiting under companion, visiting elderly, thank you, visiting a sick person, visiting a
Non-member.
visiting a,
Non-SDA.
and sharing Jesus, not just visiting them, but sharing Jesus, and visiting a non-SDA, sharing the gospel, and making a plan for further outreach with them. And each time there's a follow-up, and I like that. It's not just that we went to the nursing home and sang a song, but that we had a one-to-one with someone, and they came back later and brought that elderly person some flowers or something like that. And then their witness as a group, there's hours, 4, 6, 8, 10 hours, helping to plan and receiving some training, which I love the receiving training part. I believe that receiving training is an inspiring thing. It motivates me to want to do better. So I want that for my kids as well. And then community outreach, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours of community outreach. And then 3 hours observing a pastor, and then 4 hours assisting a pastor. To me, that's holy work that I'm like, what? You mean I could go do that with the pastor and do something really important like that? So I think that's really neat that any of our Pathfinders would be able to go do that with a pastor. So this is the curriculum. As an instructor, what approach would you use to help your kids fulfill this?
Well, some of the community outreach, like I know the PMC group, they're going to clean the park. So that would also cover some of their hours in community service as well as working on an honor too, possibly.
That's true, that's true. So a group effort, going out and cleaning the park. Any other thoughts? How about the outreach? Yes, ma'am?
We've gone to, like, it's like a nursing home, but we play outside and sit in front of their home and play for them. And then when there's a break, we tell each Pathfinder, find a person or the class that we're going to play for.
Mm-hmm.
Find out something about them. Find their name, what they like doing. So they have a conversation with them. It's not just play for them and just leave. So find something about that person, one person, and we always do that.
Both are so meaningful, because music can really, calm someone who's tense and needing it. And then also, I like that what you said was, not only did you tell them, go find someone to talk to, but you gave them a starter question, Because that can be hard when you come up to someone who you don't understand, a young person meeting a very elderly person. It's like, I don't know how to start this. And to give them that starter question, ask them something about themselves. So, thank you very much. It's very good. And then receiving training. How do y'all feel about, do y'all know of outreach training that kids can get? No?
I was thinking about, like agile emergency response, first aid training,
That's right.
working with community service as far as, soup kitchens, as far as people, giving out the food and the rules that they have to abide by.
That's right.
If they help out at a shelter or something like that.
That's right. ACS, which is Adventist Community Services, has the YES program, Youth Empowered to Serve, and they have training for those youth that they can take. And then also this is outreach training too, by the way. So let's see next. Making friends, and that's not too hard for kids. Normally, it can be hard sometimes. We want them to appreciate the people and cultures of our nation. Which, by the way, y'all are so blessed here to have that, to have such a diversity of people. That is really a blessing to kids, I believe. I grew up in Texas, and it's like a melting pot. And I went to school with kids of all sorts of ethnicities. Where I currently live, it's not that way. And I do wish that for my kids, that they will understand and appreciate just the colorfulness of all these cultures, and they're all so different. Sometimes we get so stuck in our own narrow view and perspective, and then you go on a mission trip and you meet that different culture, and it really gives you a different way of looking at things and how they prioritize and what that does for their life. So we want them to appreciate the peoples and cultures of our nation, we have so many, to know the symbols of our national heritage, to feel patriotism and responsibility of upholding law and order, not breaking rules, but actually being proud of upholding law, to respond by demonstrating respect for national symbols and government. In the curriculum, they have to work on 1, building relationships by discussing kinds of friendship, 2, Christian lifestyle by discussing etiquette, and 3, good citizenship, which is a learning part. So they choose 2 sections for standard level, and if they want advanced, they need to do all 3. So, same qualities of being a good friend, respecting cultures and genders, peer pressure in decision making, 3 ways of being a good Samaritan, understanding handicap needs and throwing them a party, and understanding, here at guide level, understanding guidelines for being a life companion. It's nice to start this out early. We don't want them to get married too soon, of course. But to start out early, their understanding of this selflessness of being a life partner and thinking of someone else first in their marriage. In the etiquette part, table manners, respect for parents, the family life honor, or the Christian grooming and
Manners.
Say that again?
Christian
Manners.
grooming and manners.
Thank you. Christian grooming and manners honor, the necessity of leadership, stewardship honor, respect of law and morals. And then the good citizenship, say and explain, pledge of allegiance, sing and explain the national anthem, flag courtesy and folding, studying the family tree and nationality, touring a city building, or bringing in a city official for them to talk to. The Christian citizenship honor, which by the time you're here, you've already done all these parts of the Christian citizenship honor. So you're building up to the point of finishing the honor. Diagramming, city structure, leadership, how it works. And then again, here under guide, you're getting a little older. They talk about Christian career opportunities. Bringing, you are a Christian, bringing that into what does that mean for my future job, especially as Seventh-day Adventists. So, how, as instructors, how would you approach teaching this and helping the kids to fulfill their requirements? Yes, ma'am?
Once in a while, we have just a dinner to practice how to behave at a table. With the pathfinders, just sit down and sit at the table and then just try what we've been learning about.
I like that. So instead of just saying, well, the fork goes here and don't put your elbows on the table, you're actually having them at a table.
Yes.
And we're going to actually use this and work this, and I like that, hands-on learning. Any other thoughts? Saw a hand over here. No? Yes, ma'am?
Discuss the importance of different flags. Why are you actually not letting that flag touch the floor?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to take your hat off when you're saying the national anthem? So they need to know why you're doing that. Because just saying you take off your hat, you keep your hands, they need to know why. Because that age usually they're asking why. Why do I have to do this?
Right. That's right, being prepared for the why part of the rules. Yes, ma'am?
I think the whole Christian lifestyle role is a good opportunity as far as just discussion within the group, but for them to relate to each other, to say, well, this is what happens in my home, or to give examples of why they feel there's a need for leadership or based upon their experiences. You get insight into who they are, and they get insight to who each other is, as far as the different dynamics just within their own families, even if they're from the same culture. Sometimes those family dynamics are always different.
True. Yes, I like that application to their life and also understanding everybody else's situations. I like that. Because there is more than one right way to live a Christian life, right? Less judgment too that way. Deep sense to appreciate.
I need more water.
Okay.
She's giving me 6 or
Health and fitness. How many of you love this section? Very good. How many of you are? You make me do what? Okay. Practical religion includes good health and physical fitness. What do we know about health and fitness? Does it clear the mind or does it cloud the mind? It clears the mind. And what do we use to communicate with God? Our minds. That's right. So in order to build that relationship with Christ, we do have to take care of our health and our physical fitness. We have to know the principles God gave for maintaining health. And to know that practicing these principles brings health and happiness. Because they're showing more and more that depression also comes from, of course, unhealthy eating, and then also if you don't get out and walk around and enjoy the sunshine and fresh air and are secluded to just being in front of the TV, it all contributes to unhappiness. Mm-hmm. So we want them to feel thankful, and what for? Thankful for, come on, everybody has a voice here. Thankful for what? It's up there.
God's plan.
Thank you for God's plan of health and fitness. To be thankful for it. It is really good for us. And to respond by choosing a healthy lifestyle, both in hygiene and good nutrition and physical fitness. Because how many of us know that some of the pathfinders will skip a day taking a bath?
They look forward to it, it looks like. The Oshkosh, they were bragging. They didn't bathe for 3 days. I was like,
Ew!
You were in
We
the
can
wrong
smell
part
it.
of
Thank you.
Oshkosh.
Yes.
And that's the boys, not the girls.
One church told me that when they pulled in and all the parents were waiting around, they got off the bus, everybody stepped back. I was like,
So
let's get you home, but you're gonna have to walk.
Yeah, that's true. Or, you said that's the boys and not the girls, but what about, the unfortunate girl that sometimes she doesn't, her parents didn't teach her that, and the kids don't want to play with her because she stinks, and to be part of helping her to learn how to take care of herself. And, okay, yes, ma'am?
For our club, it's a rule. When you are staying somewhere, you gotta take a bath.
They have a
Whether
rule
it's
about
with
it.
the Oshkosh, we're like, okay, when all the bathrooms are packed during the day, we'll have to go when everybody's in bed.
Mhm.
10 o'clock, go take a bath, or early morning, go take a bath. It just gives you a better feeling, just how you feel. Because when it's hot and you did not take a bath, you go to bed, the next day you're going to sleep in the same bed, so everything is nasty, the tent is smelly, so everybody had to take a bath, and the counselors made sure everybody took a bath.
And it really is a benefit to them.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're thinking, feeling fresh,
Yeah.
yes. And to appreciate feeling fresh too.
Yes, yes.
That, yes, okay. So, within the curriculum, they study health principles, discussing those principles, and how to apply temperance. Oh, that's a tough one right there, or just about any of those, temperance. First aid and safety, earning honors and studying in practice, and fitness and exercise, discussions or making a monthly chart, and doing a fitness test. Standard, choose 2 sections. Advanced, you need to do all 3 sections. So these are what they are. Discussing Daniel and his experience with the healthy eating, sugar, salt, and fat, Moses, and laws that Moses created about health, genetic features, understanding. Well, mom and dad have blue eyes, I've got blue eyes. Voyager, the effects of eating meat versus vegetarianism. And guides will make a presentation to kids about health. And then the next section down, you see they make a presentation to kids about dangers that they want to avoid. And then here, alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, friends, and then companions discuss genetic problems. So, dad has a heart problem. I need to make sure I take care of my heart, because if I don't, I'll probably have that issue with my dad. Caffeine, alcohol, and assisting in a screening. That's kind of neat too, being in the again, hands-on. Hands-on's great. Okay, first aid and safety. The red alert honor, basic first aid, which does not require certification, we're just learning with the Band-Aid on. Basic rescue honor, I love basic rescue. With the lifting, 6-man lifts and it works and the kids go, woo! First aid honor, CPR honor, with any more today, you can get those two together. You can get your certification and then give you the CPR certification at the same time. And then the guides teach the red alert honor.
Yeah.
Love that. And then personal safety, home safety, let's see if they have that checklist. I can show you. Nope, that's not it. Okay, well I can't find it, that's okay. So personal safety, home safety, bicycle safety, understanding hypothermia and how to avoid it and treat it. Disaster safety and traffic safety. And with a disaster one, you might as well get the honor. Fitness and exercise, a physical exam. Asking a gym teacher about aerobic versus non-aerobic exercises. Understanding sports, both their benefits and when taken to the extreme, how it can be hurtful. Doing a 1-month chart for exercising, a 1-month chart exercise, but in this one, it is a lifestyle habit where they've changed it for something better and creating a month chart about that. And then a 4-month chart about a lifestyle habit that's changed to a good one. And the last one is the fitness test, which is normally the Presidential Fitness Award. Just out of curiosity, how many of your kids normally do the fitness award either at school or in Pathfinders? One.
They usually do it in school.
It's 5.
Yeah.
They usually do it in school?
Yeah.
Unless you have.
Public schools, I think, are required to do it.
Yeah.
They are.
Not private schools, it's a
Yes.
choice, but
Right.
public schools, I'm pretty
So
sure.
unless you have
they're
like a
required
homeschool child, then everybody gets to.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, in my area, the public schools don't do it. And we have one option for this. If they want advanced, we have one option, and that is, because by the way, the fitness test is, never mind, I won't say that because I'm not quite sure. But the fitness test, our conference puts it on once a year. And if you miss it, you're not allowed to, you have to wait till the next year. So that's pretty important if you're wanting advanced to make it to that conference event.
You can go online, and about 3 years ago, I went online to learn about that, and I believe it may even be possible for a homeschooling group to
They
just
can.
test themselves. You have to, there's,
Certain number of
you
people.
have to apply, you have to put in an application, it has to be structured.
I
be-
called the presidential council 2 years ago. I called them to ask this, and that way they said anyone can do it. But if you want to make it more official, ask the local gym teacher to officiate it. But unfortunately, in my conference, they have a specific rule of you have to go to the conference when none other applies.
Oh, wow.
So know your conference, for one, what their rules are regarding any of these requirements.
Interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
What I was gonna say is, homeschoolers, and I know a lot of homeschoolers are doing the fitness program, they have through different YMCA's, Andrews, and all the different, so.
I agree, because you don't have to do the presidential fitness test. So finding another fitness test that works, that might be the back door for my people in my conference who miss their attend your conference stuff. No, I gotta say that. Okay, so as Pathfinder instructors, how would you approach this curriculum? What tools would you use? We talked about some already. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was thinking, with the disaster safety
Mm-hmm.
and like, so, on Cubo, I don't know if it's on all cable stations, but they have it on, if you live on in the apartments here, you get it, and it's a show called Rescue Rangers. Is it Rescue Heroes? Rescue Heroes. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's a cartoon, but I like it because, while everything is superhero, we know where that's coming from. These are just firefighters, just regular, everyday heroes. And they teach all of those, episode is on fire safety or disaster, and if you're in a thing, and the whole show is around, a scenario where kids get caught in a cave, what do you do, and everything like that, and at the end, they wrap it up, and they say, if you're caught, if you're in an earthquake, or if you're in a fire, this is what you do, and they run through it, and I think that would be like a good way to do, if they do all of those, personal safety, they do all of those, yeah.
I like that. There are some TV programs that are great for teaching. I like that. Any other thoughts on how you would approach teaching parts of this curriculum? Discussion, obviously, would be a tool.
I think also when you teach one class, they say the companions, you tell them, let's learn this, understand what we really, let's enjoy it. So next year, you can teach the friends. You can have a skit and you teach the friends. So each class that's ahead can teach the other, so you get more motivated. I know I'm going to be teaching this. So.
Yeah, I want to know more about it so I can do a good job. I like that, yeah. So, any other thoughts? Yes, that's right.
And bringing, community people. When I was in Ohio, we bought the fire station out, and they brought the fire truck, and they did a safe house, and they let they did the smoke and everything, and let the kids practice crawling through it, and I mean, are they gonna forget that?
Awesome.
No, it simulated a fire. And, they brought the truck that looked like an apartment, and they had to get through, and they were like, look for the light, and this and everything. Like, did they forget that? No. So you can do, I know our fire people are a little bored. So they'd be more than happy to come and do something like that. Or the fire, the police,
Right.
have them come out and do something.
That's a great idea. I love that. Great idea. Very good. Any other things, ma'am?
I teach the ranger class, and so the first aid honor, if you look at it, it's very, very long because it combines the basic first aid and the basic rescue. And so it combines everything, and I have to do it in I think we do it now in 2 sessions, 2 club meetings, so 1.5 hour.
Right.
And so what I do is I go through all the different things first, and then I divide it where I do lecture, where they fill out their honor sheets, and then we do the actual basic rescue stuff, you know, where they're lifting somebody or they're dragging somebody with on their coats or the blanket or stuff, and then the next time we do a certain part of the lecture, which some of these kids that if they're already in Ranger and most of them have gone through Friend, Companion, and Explorer, you're just kind of reviewing them. So it's very, very quick. And then you do the bandages and other things. So it's very fun because you're actually doing actual things with them. And at the fair in Michigan this May we're gonna do basic rescue.
Oh, at the fair?
Yeah. So it's called Rescue the Perishing. So it's application of these things. They're actually bandaging and stuff. So.
Do you do assessment of your rangers? Like, do you find out who went through everything, or do you just make the assumption that they already know?
No, we go through the whole honor. So they actually
So
the
you
kids
cover it, but you just.
Yeah, I cover the whole thing, and if they don't get done, because we have the checklist of let's see, this one is up to I forgot how many numbers it has. I think 16 or something. It's a very, very long honor, so the first 8 is a long one. But if they've gone through the other ones, it's just a review, so you go through it quickly. So how to make a sling. I actually cut one of my old sheets that had holes in it, and I made triangles out of that way they can use it for the actual bandaging and making splints and stuff. So,
Right.
yeah.
My sister-in-law, she taught the first aid honor. Well, didn't teach. She did the first aid honor by bringing the group to a classroom too. Now, I don't believe some technology centers have a rule. You have to be over 16 in order to be in the building taking the class. But in our town, at the local EMT shed where the ambulances are, is where they teach classes too. And so she brought them all over, and her husband taught the class. So again, getting out of the normal classroom and it helps too. And I like, yeah.
Yeah, but if the CPR, everybody's required to do that. The Voyagers are required, and so we're actually getting together with Eau Claire and PMC with Michiana Film to do all the Voyagers together to do the CPR and really high. So at the end, they actually get the certification at the end of the sessions.
That's great.
And so, yeah.
That's great. Did I see another hand raised? Yes, ma'am?
I think also when you talk to your community,
Yes.
there are a lot of people who will be willing to come and teach. If it's a medical doctor, they can come and talk about health, about how to keep your heart for eye doctor. They're willing because that's part of community service, giving back to the community. So the police, they're more than willing because we are all nations. We're like a block away from fire station. We always call them and they just like, sure. They'll bring their truck, they'll bring the police car and show the kids, and they're always willing to come and give back to the community.
Yes. And
You need to use them.
Adventurers too.
Yeah.
I've noticed we had a field trip that was supposed to be going to visit the police station that we had there in our town, and then the community service side was to wash the sheriff's car. The little adventures, and he agreed to it too.
Sure he did.
So anyway, okay, let's see here. Youth organization, here's your concept. So gaining discipline as a group. Not just discipline in my own temperance or my own health or my own spiritual life, but gaining discipline as a group. That is an important concept.
Oh, yes.
You know, how to work together to move efficiently as a group. Those are fun. I love team building activities. And understands the need for structure. This goes back to why do we have leaders? Why is it important? And then why is it important to obey and respect authority? And that teamwork, and understanding teamwork for worthwhile projects. To know that teamwork enhances project success. To feel the joy of cooperative effort. It is a high, at least it is for me. After a good team building experience and we did something worthwhile, I'm like, that was awesome. and to respond by listening to others' ideas when necessary, and by cooperating with a group and successfully completing a task. So, the curriculum they need to complete. Leadership, where they plan and lead a club activity and lead an outdoor activity, so in the classroom and outside. Club awareness, which is a discussion format. Pathfinder programming, taking part in programs and evaluating it from different perspectives. And then parts of the drill and march honors. Standard, sections 1, and then plus 2 or 3. And if they want advanced, they need to do all 3 sections. Okay, so within the youth organization, the leadership, learning leaders' names. How cool is that for a kid? Now, I'm from a smaller church, so for me especially, I don't know if you have such a big church, there's so many leaders, but to know Elder Simpson, his name is Roger, so it depends on how familiar they want to get, to know Elder Simpson and to kind of get to know the guy, you know, to know their names and then have the opportunity to know your leaders. I think that's great for kids. And to understand the cooperation with leadership later, to have that relationship. To lead a devotional, to lead in opening ceremonies. I think that's, any club, that's a great thing, to allow the kids to take turns with that. To lead, to attend a staff meeting, to lead activity, and then for guides, to attend a basic staff training event. Friends, 5-mile hike, companions, 10-mile hike, explorers. By the way, that's plan and lead, please. Weekend camp out, plan and lead a weekend camp out, and then help with teaching camping skills 1 or 2, and then guides help with teaching camping skills 3 or 4. That's help with, because you do need to have a real instructor. You're helping with that. Okay, club awareness, discussing personal involvement with the club, how the unit is involved in the club, how the club benefits the club, how families are involved with the club, how the church is involved with the club, and how the community is involved with the club. Programming, taking part in 3, 4, 5, 6 programs, and then evaluating it from different perspectives. Evaluating how I did in it, evaluating the leader, evaluating the club, evaluating families, evaluating the church. And then in Friend, Companion, Explorer, they do parts of Drill and March and then finish Drill and March Honor. And then Ranger, Voyager, and Guide, they do parts of the advanced Drill and March Honor and finish it in Guide. So, as Pathfinder instructors, how would you approach this curriculum? What tools would you use?
Usually at our club, we have the TLT, we sit down and say, okay, we have camping. So this group, you take care of the food, write down the menu. The others write down who's going to take care of what, and different chores, because when we're camping, different units do different, but they're given a chance to decide what they're going to be doing, but we're able to cover everything that's needed.
Yes.
So like worship, each child is given a chance to actually start from beginning and call everybody in, sing the anthem, pledge everything, and pray, and then worship somebody else. Everybody's given something, so they feel they're part of the group.
Mm-hmm.
I
do appreciate it, that it's a lot of work, but it's worth the work. That's very good, and how to do it, very good. Any other approaches? Club awareness, leadership, Pathfinder programming.
There's 2 different things that I'm still thinking what's the best way to do this thing, because friends are supposed, in camp outs, friends are supposed to be washing dishes. And so, and there's everybody has a task to do. But somebody has just put in an idea that it's a good opportunity for the older Pathfinders to actually lead the younger ones. So instead of just the friends doing it, you have a TLT that's in charge of them actually working with them. That way you have somebody who's learning how to lead and somebody who's
Getting them to
following.
understand.
Yeah.
And also, I think it came out again yesterday, and I know your club does it a lot as far as planning ahead of time, planning out the whole year so you can integrate as many things as possible. So like with the camping, they're planning a camping weekend but also one of the activities would be the 5 or the 10 mile hike that the younger ones could plan and map out. So they're meeting their requirements, everybody's meeting their requirements with
Yes.
one,
Yes.
you know,
Like that
activity
out.
and event.
Yeah.
Right.
Very good. So, good staff meeting, getting organized and schedule everything, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and that's like, at PMC, they did their,
The
the
camp
health
out.
honor, right? They just knocked it all out, and everybody all at one time. And so I just became, I always have to ask people, when am I, Cynthia? IA coordinator, right? And that's kind of my job, so I'm liking that I'm looking at it, because we want to try to organize it so that, to avoid some of the redundancy, but even though we want to reinforce stuff, we don't want to reinforce the whole entire lesson. Like, they should start and then be building and learning more advanced stuff, you know? So, I like this. So, you know, if you want to help me camp out for next year.
Well, that's what this section is, youth organization.
Yeah.
Helping them understand how we get it done. Yes, ma'am.
On a side note, did you create these tables or?
Yes, I created them. Now, there are tables already available. It's just, I had to have something that had fewer words so you could actually read it. But within the instructors, AY Instructor's Manual, they have charts just like that where it lists them next to each other.
They do. But this is a spreadsheet, so this is a lot more functional. So if you want to send those to me.
Us.
Absolutely.
You all have to realize that what she's discussing is the old
That's true. That's true.
YA,
Right.
or AY, sorry, AY set.
No, but we just
But
trying to.
IA is what most clubs are teaching
Right, but
now,
it's
and it's
just the
slightly
layout
different.
already in the French, that we can change it.
Yeah.
But it's just that she already has the structure set up, so it's easy to change and plug
Yeah.
with that than just looking at the IA. I'm looking at the IA and it's all done, but I would still have to be, you know, well, with this, I can do that and plug it in. So that's what we're looking at.
And-
I'd be happy to take out everybody's emails and email it to you afterwards. That'd be fine. Yes, ma'am?
But to get back to this, the first thing I thought of is with this is that before you do the hike, you should look at your terrain.
Oh,
yeah.
And I say that because I was with my son's friend class as a chaperone when they did the 5-mile hike. And they did it at Warren Dunes on the beach and up the dunes and down the dunes. I couldn't make it myself. My son struggled. I had to push him to get him to do the 5 miles because that is probably the worst terrain to hike in,
right.
No.
you know. And so they should have thought of that before they took them. You
Well,
know.
it's like the silver award, you're supposed to do a 20-mile backpacking 2-night
Yes.
trip. And when I looked at that, I said, well, you would not want a hard terrain then, because it's not about the terrain. You have to get 20 miles in. You want that terrain to be
It's a whole weekend thing.
yes,
Yeah.
simple as possible.
Like, the new curriculum, the ranger has to do the beginnings of the backpacking, hiking honor. So discuss the hiking honor, and you have to do 1 5-mile rural hike, 1 5-mile urban hike, do a 10-mile hike, day trip, do a 15-mile hike, weekend.
Well,
Like
and
things.
realize that in the new IA, there is no youth organization.
Yes, there is none.
Right. So the outdoor living, we'll be at that section here in just a minute. And the next program is IA. So we got AY, and then you'll be able to compare them right next to each other because IA is next. Okay, nature study. The major concept is seeing God's character in nature. I've read this several times. I'm not an outdoor person myself, so I haven't experienced this, but people have said it. So I'm sorry.
It's wonderful.
When I'm outside, I see bugs, snakes, stickers. So I'm
You
like,
need to come for a walk with me.
I see sin.
You see sin.
I see
You
sin.
see sin in nature.
But I know when I was a kid, I didn't. When I was a kid, man, you go jumping in the leaves, you don't think about the snakes in the leaves. You just jump in, and the creeks, you don't think about the water moccasins. You think, frog, and
See, you've survived then.
Grew up in Florida with the water moccasins.
So
and
you don't have
alligators,
anything to
and They're just fine.
Right. Well, unfortunately, after that, the rest of my childhood was in the city, in apartments, where you're told, don't go outside and walk around because you will be raped.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately what I grew up with after that. So, but I know kids do, and so many people have.
And the thing is, young people love to be outdoors. They actually like, what are we doing? Why are we indoors all the time? Can we go kayaking? Can we go fishing? Can we go hiking? They're begging for these things. The thing is, we live in Michigan, and it's always,
Cold.
it's always cold, and
only
winter
8 months
is too
out of the
long.
year.
So you have to do this outdoor stuff mostly in spring, summer, and early part of the fall.
First 2
Otherwise,
weeks of snowshoeing, and you can hear and see so much in the wintertime. You do have to plan it. You have to know where you're going to go, which means as an instructor or as a coordinator, I need to know that before I take a group. I need to know what I am going to share.
plan ahead.
And have the resources.
Yes.
The
Snowshoeing, you have to
We
have
to have
the correct
the snowshoeing
snowshoes.
equipment, and we have 60 to 80 students, yeah.
Yeah.
So some of it is.
I can imagine those tracks in the snow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want them to.
But we can still do stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so nature study, you want them to know that nature teaches about God and Christian living. Because it does teach about Christian living too. Taking those object lessons from nature. To know that sin has spoiled that. That God promises to restore that, the hope of that. To feel peace or excitement or curiosity in a natural world, not fear like me. And appreciation for God's gifts in nature. And to respond by observing nature and taking interest in it. By being kind to living creatures and compassion for them, living beings. And by taking care of their environments, being good stewards. So, the curriculum for nature study. 1, spiritual lessons, which is usually scripture, plus a nature study. And then, these next parts, this is the fun part, nature appreciation, where you have 2 sections, and here's 2 different nature things that you can do, and here's 2 other nature things you can do. And then the last part is to choose a nature honor to actually finish. So you get these activities, and such as you can either do a bird, collect and obtain and identify 15 different kinds of seeds, or help set up and observe a terrarium for amphibians or reptiles. And then the other part is set up a feeding station for birds or mammals and report on that, the visitors you see. So I like the hands-on activities here for nature. They need to do section 1, it's required, and for advanced they need to do all 3 sections. So it's unfortunate because you can skip all that nature activity and have your standard. But of course, we want them to go ahead and do some nature activities. It's fun. Okay, so they're studying the lost sheep plus 3 more examples of nature in the Bible. Creation plus a 7-day nature log. Explorers are reading the flood and studying 3 fossils. Reading the 10 Commandments and doing 3 experiments. And reading about Nicodemus and studying the butterfly life cycle, reading about Jesus' childhood, and studying nature in education, how that affects our learning. And then here, all these nature activities, it's so much fun. Birds, mammals, seeds, amphibians, reptiles. Animal tracking, trees or shrubs or cacti. Stars, pick between weathers or ferns. Lichen or shells, and then insects or wildflowers, houseplants or butterflies, edible wild plants. I want to earn that honor, by the way. It's one of the ones I'm missing. Spires or rocks and minerals, ecology or fungi, and then to complete a nature honor. So, as Pathfinder instructors, how would you approach this curriculum for nature study?
With anticipation and
With
excitement, all of them.
With the
Right?
edible wildlands, I taught that one in September, and some of the wild edibles are best picked in the spring.
In spring, yeah.
So if you're gonna do that,
In spring.
That's good.
study it now, because then you have this wild, you have wild
In the woods.
fruits all over, so, yeah, to eat in the summer.
So the
Spring and
timing,
summer.
I've heard that
Yes.
Timing is
seeds,
crucial.
yeah,
Yeah.
seeds can be better in the
Seeds
fall.
better
Oh,
late
seeds
summer,
would be
fall,
nice.
amphibians and reptiles, depends on what you're
I
looking
don't know what level that
for,
is.
but many times spring, early summer, here in Michigan anyway.
Mhm. By the way, on the amphibian honor, I recently learned that there is a sharp decline in the amphibian frogs, sharp decline in frog population. And so they're actually starting to say, instead of, you know, having a frog and raising it, because that, in general, you have to keep it. You're not supposed to put it back out in the wild. And, I'm sorry, I forgot where, the other option is to study them in the wild. But there's just such a risk of interaction with them, and that our human presence is hurting the frog population. So they're saying, instead of interacting, you know, studying, or you're getting too close, or you're gonna order this animal and then you can't release it in the wild, they said it's better to do a report on why there's a sharp decline in the population. So just so you know, that's new for the amphibian honor. So, anybody else? How would you approach? Is there one on here you're more excited about than another you want to do with your class? Yes, ma'am?
I had fun with the seeds honor because we just, in our house, we just said, okay, seeds were collected, so, and everybody put aside, the seeds, and so we
And the things they were eating?
Yeah, and so it was good, and we got a lot of exotic fruit seeds, like a tamarind seed,
Uh-huh.
all these different seeds, so it was really fun. We ended up having more than
Yeah, I was thinking of that, it's a level, level 1, so that's why it's there. But I don't think I've ever done it. But one way I was thinking of teaching that, if I was teaching it, I'll bring different kinds of fruits and everybody try it, and as they get the seed, that will be their seed, basically, so as they collect it.
It would have to be your seed.
Yeah.
If they eat it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as they eat it, then they're collecting the seeds.
Yeah.
I've taught the seed honor before, that is one, I love it, absolutely love it. And take it to the next level where if you get on a computer and make a graph, I think it died with my last computer, but to take cardstock, and I think I had 4 rows, 4 across. And you had a square, and you had a tiny square at the bottom. And I actually had left room for the definitions, the day it was procured. Where did we find this? Okay, what day, where? Oh, that was that, hike over somewhere, or we were, that was at the store that day. Because there's only so many seeds you can take from envelopes or, I don't know. But even one sheet, I had just an index of all the seeds that they collected, and then one sheet, all the flower seeds, and then all the vegetable seeds, and then
Yes,
the
to
wild seeds. And then
categorize.
it was really nice, a large one with all, there's a buckeye down on the north side of campus, and then you've got oaks, and you've got larger pine, well, pines are sort of small, but it's amazing the different oak trees that you can see. By their fruits, you really do know them. And a lot of times, it's very difficult to identify certain trees unless you can see their seeds. And that's a real spiritual lesson there.
Well, there you
Yes,
go,
by the
yes.
fruits you show them.
Yes, very good. And another note on,
Yeah.
okay, no problem. Well, we started a little late, so I thought it'd be all right. They can edit this part out. How much time do I have left to finish? Now.
You're scheduled to start your next class.
Excuse me?
You started 15 minutes late. You have finished an hour and 15 minutes already.
It's an hour and 15 minutes now.
Yeah, so-
Okay, no problem.
So as soon as you're ready
But
to.
the comment I was going to make on this one, seeds, trees, shrubs,
Thanks.
do all 3 at the same time.
Yes.
It's very easy to do. And
That's a good one.
Stars would be one I would do at a camp out. This young man was telling me how much fun he had learning the stars at a camp out. And really, most of your meetings aren't necessarily dark. It's dark enough to do stars. So the camp out is the logical one. Either that or do it in the wintertime, because then your meeting might be after dark.
Okay, and then the comment I want to make before I move on is that with the seeds, to approach it all three ways, which is, you have the packages, you have the fruit that's plentiful, but also taking them on that hike because you're giving them new eyes.
Yes.
I walk through grass, I never see it. Now I walk through grass and I go, that's a different kind of grass, that's a different kind of grass, and I can see the seeds. I didn't see that before. So we want to teach them those different eyes they have. Okay, so outdoor living, recreation versus entertainment. Recreation, to be recreated of our mind and body versus entertainment. Do y'all know what the meaning of the word entertainment means? To entertain is to possess. Meant, the action of. So when we are being entertained in entertainment, we are in the process of entering into possession. Because it does take hold of your mind. That's it, that's all you can think of. And it's coming in like this, and the judgment part of the brain has been turned off, and you're not even processing what's good and what's bad. So that's what's great about recreation, recreating the mind and body. We want to emphasize this over entertainment. And also about this, that recreation is part of God's plan, and that they can feel happy that God can bless recreational activities. Because how often are kids made to feel that what they're doing is wrong? You can't do that. You can't play that. Hey, you didn't do that right, And when you have recreation, that is a blessing, that they know God is pleased with this recreation. And it really is good for our mind and body. So I believe that that is a good thing for kids to learn. That they can find those guidance in the Bible. Knots and outdoor safety rules and earning a camp honor, and we've covered a lot of this already. Also, on the knot tying thing, what's nice about that is that if they've learned those 10 honors, and then another 5 honors, and then another 5 honors, and another 5 honors, by the time they have to know the knot tying honor and then teach it, it's not that big a deal. Whereas if you've never done it before and you have to do the knot tying honor, it takes hours, hours and hours and hours to do the knot tying honor. But if you spend the last 5 years learning the knots, it doesn't take as long. It's like, oh yeah, I know these knots. So this buildup is very good. And our camping skills is good, and being in the outdoors is good. Honor enrichment, we want them to learn the joy of pathfinding and develop new skills for ministry and growth. I do want to give my testimony on this part, which is the sash. We don't want them to just pride. I have more honors than you do. But instead to look at their sash as a ministerial resume. I can minister by doing laundry. I can minister by, excuse me, I'm drawing a blank. But to see anything on their sash as ministry, either that it was a blessing and growth for themselves, or ways that they can bless others to grow.
That's
in
how it
Christ.
should be, actually.
That's right, that's right. So they need to pick one honor from arts and crafts or household arts. Pizza maker is a household art honor, by the way, and it's fun. They need to do a recreation or a vocational or an outdoor industries honor, and beginner swimming honor is required in all of those. None of this is required, this is all part of advanced level. And it's done, skill level 1 is for friend and companion, skill level 2 for explorer ranger, skill level 3 for voyager and guide. So they're supposed to pick a honor within their skill level. Make a plan. You can do this on your own. And to look at, because if you look at your handout, page 4, it's supposed to be to make a mock plan, because some people have never done this before. You probably, if you have done this, don't worry about it. But it's good to try at least to sit down and figure out, okay, if there are 39 Wednesdays in a single Pathfinder year, but probably only 18 of them are good for classwork. For each club, that's a little bit different. But, some classwork is used for preparing for a fundraiser. Some class time is used for preparing for a play. So if you have so many classworks and they're 30 minutes a piece or an hour a piece of actual classwork time, how would you divide up getting them through the requirements? And not only that, but you want to create some cushion. Because if you finish here, then maybe if this was a snow day, you can make up for it here, right? Make up for it later. So create some cushion in there as well. Be familiar with their classwork and the alternate requirements, because sometimes you need to do an alternate. Review teaching methods. Don't rely solely on just doing book work. Seek variety. Be as hands-on and involving as possible. Bring in special instructors. Be aware of how your director may want to evaluate it. Some are different than others, or how your conference will evaluate it. Ask your Pathfinders for feedback. Decide what your objectives are, and then evaluate your program against those objectives. If you're going to have your kids learn more about being spiritual, you know, and what is this activity helping towards that goal? And how many Pathfinders will be in your class, and ordering those supplies and those visual aids ahead of time. So, working out a calendar. When will you start? How many classes will you need? And when's investiture, being aware of that. And lastly, the AY Instructor's Pledge. This is from the AY Instructor Manual. So if everyone would please stand for me. This is page 5 of your handout. It is also up here on the slide. If you're not a pledge type person, I understand, but since you're in Pathfinders, I imagine you are. So this is the AY Instructor's Pledge. As an AY instructor, I do pledge to provide opportunities for each participant to learn that God loves and cares for all people, to help each participant realize that Christ is the greatest revelation of God, to encourage an awareness within each participant that the church is interested in him or her as an individual, to allow each participant to experience personal growth and development through interpersonal relationships within selected activities, to enlarge each participant's vision of the needs of his or her community, and to help him or her find ways to attending these needs, to assist each participant in developing a desire for achievement in all his or her work, and to stimulate a desire to continue through the entire program. All right, thank you. That was the AYMT Instructor's class for understanding and teaching AY curriculum. And that's it. Thank you.